can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet.
Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Well, greetings out there all across this great republic of ours and around the world. It is time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and we are so glad to have you with us this fine day. Another shortly after Thanksgiving. I hope you all had just a fantastic Thanksgiving. I know we did at our house, and I hope you had one at your house or wherever it is you had to celebrate. Those of you overseas serving our country, God bless you, and we hope that you were at least able to get some semblance of what remembering what Thanksgiving is about, and that is to thank Him above all, He who created us, and He who guides us. And thank God that we have a chance, a moment in time, a window of opportunity, given the election of Donald Trump, who is now sitting in the president-elect position, ready to take control of this great republic in January. And let's hope that God gives him some guidance. It looks like off the top, right at the outset here, at least he's learned the one business secret, I think, that makes all businessmen extremely successful, and that is that you surround yourself with successful people. And for the most part, there's some things out there I'm kind of questioning as to what and why he's doing what he's doing, but I think somewhere in his thinking, he is trying to be, it's a word that's being used even by the left, magnanimous. I think he is trying to heal some of the wounds and scars. I'm not so sure putting Mitt Romney in his inner circle is the solution, though. I got to tell you, out of everything I've seen and heard so far, that is the position of Secretary of State, I think, is one that I'm not really keen on any of the choices that are being floated out there in the media, whether it be Rudy Giuliani or Giuliano, Giuliano, Rudy Giuliani. Boy, I can't pronounce that name to save my life. Rudy from New York, you know who I'm talking about. Mitt Romney, of course, and then David Petraeus, which I think is just another. Any one of those choices, I think, are just not well advised. I personally am thinking somebody like Newt Gingrich or even former UN Ambassador John Bolton would be good choices. People that understand foreign policy, have had to work with foreign policy, have had to, have earned their bones and understand what's actually going on out there in the international theater. But the other three seem to be political picks for me. Giuliani, of course, is loyalty. Petraeus, I'm not really sure what the thought is behind that at all. And Romney, of course, is to appease the establishment, and maybe he hopes somewhere down the line they'll actually give a damn about what he's doing and cooperate. But I would not take the enemy and put him in my inner circle, especially in such a high position of authority, because you know what that's going to lead to. That's going to lead to conspiring with the establishment, make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get a second term, so that the establishment can get back into the power grab that they're looking for, the grip on power that they need to survive. Having said that, one of the other things we have to be aware of here is what's coming down the pipe here from the left. And I've said this already a couple of times, and I'll say it again. Do not think that for one moment the Democrat Party is going to roll over and play dead. They did not get this far down the line by doing that. They have been, for the last 50, 60 years, the perfect example of the old adage, never, never, never give up. And that's what they're just regrouping right now. And you can already see it. You can already see how the narrative is taking place. Trump is going to be questioned. I was thinking about this. I was talking with some people just the other day about this. They're asking me about, it just seems like, the media is just really going after Trump. Well, come on. I mean, they've been going after him ever since they realized that he was going to be a serious contender. And the reason they went after him is because he does rock the boat. He is a wrecking ball. He has screwed up the establishment on both sides of the aisle, and they're very, very upset with it. But if you everything that the media should have been doing with Barack Obama, they're going to be doing with Trump. I was on a show yesterday. Bob Cardosa, one of our contributors here, has his own show, Robert Cardosa Live, and he asked me about that. And I said, we are now going to know every time Donald Trump passes gas. And then we're going to get commentary as to why and how he should change his diet in order to keep that from happening again. The Democrats are going to go after him for every little thing that he does. You think he's got an ego problem now? This should be, if nothing else for Donald Trump, let's hope it's a little bit of a lesson in humility that no man is beyond reproach when it comes to the media and the leftists and those who seek to destroy everything this country, everything that we are as a republic and everything we represent, because that is the end game. And as I said earlier, we know that the Democrats are not going to give up. They're going to regroup, they're going to repackage, and they're going to come back touting the same agenda, just in a different way. And a lot of it will be coming down on the negativity side, what the Republicans are, the white racist, white nationalists, bigots, xenophobes, everything that Hillary Clinton labeled us. We will become the deplorables and the irredeemable. In the eyes of the media and the left, we already are. But Trump is going to be the icon. He's going to be the deplorable icon, the representative of everything that's wrong with Americans. And do not doubt me, folks. This isn't, as far as the left goes, this isn't about the Republicans being in power. This is about there's too many Americans out there that still don't think like progressives. The American public is the problem. It's not the people in power. They've already neutered, if I can use that word. They've already neutered the Senate, and they've already empowered the judicial branch, the Supreme Court. So don't think for 1 minute that this thing is over. This is far from over. In fact, we have just begun the battle to take back our republic. And let's just hope that this 4-year window that Donald Trump has provided for us is sufficient in getting some of these things turned around. Let's get the conservative movement some time here to organize and be able to start articulating the conservative message. Instead of worrying about being labeled racist, bigots, xenophobes, deplorables, and irredeemable, and all the other labels that we get, we just need to counter that with an intelligent, reasonable articulation as to why conservatism is what has made this republic an exceptional country in every single aspect, spiritually, materially, nationally, politically. We just have to articulate the message. Don't rely on your Congress to do it. Another conversation we had yesterday was about whether or not Trump was going to be able to do anything with the Congress that we have now. So we just changed seats, who sits in the White House. But we still have Congress to deal with. Well, let's hope that Trump is the beginning of house cleaning in Congress. Let's hope that Republicans quit voting for people just because they have an R after their name and start looking at what these people do with your taxpayer money and how they vote, how they spend it, and how they use it for their self-gain, their self-agenda, everything else. So having said that, we're going to go to our first break here. When we come back, I've got a couple things. We got two weekly topics this week and probably going to next week. I'm going to talk about the Electoral College, something I'm just surprised how many people don't understand this. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about voter recount and what it is and what it isn't. And we're going to be talking about white nationalism because that's going to be the narrative coming from the left. And we're going to do our best to educate, inform, and engage you, our audience, as to what white nationalism is and what it isn't. So having said that, we're going to go to our break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Hey, and if you're looking for my partner in crime out there, Joe Hakos, he's currently enjoying a long overdue and well-deserved vacation took off for the holidays and is enjoying his time out with his family out in the Midwest out there. I don't know if Ohio is considered in the Rust Belt, but he's out visiting family, and I didn't want him calling in here and interrupting his vacation. I just want him to have a good time because when I go on vacation, he covers for me, and he just does a great job of it. So if you are listening, Joe, enjoy. Give Cindy a hug for me, and just tell everybody we love them right here from the Conservative Syndicate. Well, okay, all right. Now, before I get too serious into the topics that I want to get into, like I said, these topics are going to be kind of, I think, lengthy. I don't think these are the kind of things that we're just going to be able to resolve in just a few days, and we may. Really hit it hard for this week and perhaps next week, and then we'll just keep reiterating and reinforcing what we're saying, because that's what we need to do now as conservatives. We need to begin to formulate our own message on conservatism and start articulating it reasonably and intelligently, and not so emotion-based. Sometimes I think conservatives sound just like liberals. They get so emotionally wound up on everything, and it's just, that's not always constructive. So we're going to go a different route here. I want to talk about the voter recount effort in a little bit here. Not a whole lot of time on that because there's really not a whole lot to talk about. But in terms of what the recount is about, and it is an attack, really an attack on the Electoral College, something the liberals have tried to do in the past. But I think this time around, and I say this kind of in support of what Donald Trump is out there floating, because of the increase in the effectiveness of voter fraud on the left, and a lot of people still in denial about this, but there is no denying that there is such a thing as voter fraud, and it's just not one or two people in the country. It is substantial, and it takes many shapes and forms. Of course, our president-elect doesn't comment like that. He just kind of generalizes everything and throws it out there. Hillary Clinton's got millions of illegal votes. Okay, well, everybody wants to automatically tag that within the label of, when he's talking about illegals, he's talking about illegal aliens or undocumented Democrats, as we like to refer to them. And that's not really what I'm talking about, or what should be said. It should be explained and discussed within the context of illegal votes, meaning ballots cast illegally. And that doesn't just include people voting that are not citizens of the United States. There's a lot of things going on out there that is corrupting gradually. And I think this year, with the number of votes that I mean, I'm kind of hoping some of these recounts show that, but I'm not so sure that that's what they'll be looking for, and that'll probably be the argument. They do these recounts, I think it's in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and one other state. I think I'm going to say Michigan. I might be wrong on that. But anyway, once they recount these ballots, I'm hoping that somewhere in there they find that some of these ballots were fraudulent to begin with. And I hope they find it on the Clinton side, too, because that's where I think the real voting fraud is at. Nobody was reporting the voting machine malfunctions down in Texas. Nobody was reporting the illegals voting out here in California en masse through the new law passed by Governor Moonbeam Jerry Brown out here, that people could register to vote by getting a driver's license, and then getting a driver's license out here no longer requires that you prove you're a citizen. So, there is voter fraud out there. There have been several people, we were talking earlier before the election about what was going on up in Indiana. The Democrats went out there to look and see, went out there hoping to find some discrepancy that they could lay on the Republicans, and found out that there was over, I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 187,000 people that had outdated, or it was 187,000 people had made changes to their voter registration within a very, very short period of time, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with that. So there is certainly enough evidence out there to prove or point to the concept and the belief that there is voter fraud. So, but that's not what the recount is about. This Jill Stein thing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But what I thought I would do here is I'm going to share with you, just to give kind of the humorous flavor to what it is we're going to be talking about. I'll try to keep it as light as I can, but there's going to be times where we're going to be talking about things that are, when we talk about the Electoral College, which is where I'm leading to, when we get to that place, there's a lot, some of it's very academic. It's very kind of almost boring to read about it or to learn about it. But it is some, and I think that's why a lot of people don't pay attention to it, because it's one of those topics or subjects that's really boring, because it just basically involves qualifications and setting up the circumstances, and then how the actual process works. That stuff's boring. Americans just want to push a button and everything gets fixed. And, that's what we've been conditioned to think. That's how we've been conditioned to think. I call it the sitcom mentality. You have a plot and crisis and a solution in a half an hour. And that's not the way this stuff works. But that is, because of that mentality, that is what has allowed the left to move almost unobserved in many ways, certainly unprovoked, because we're just too busy getting on with our lives. So we're going to do the work for you. And if you listen to us over the course of the next few days, you're going to learn something, I promise you. So, but having do that, I want to do it this way. I want to play you a clip here. I got two clips here. We'll start it out this way. The first clip is a compilation of various liberal pundits, celebrities, talk show hosts, news people that laughed at the idea that Donald Trump could even win the election. And I'll read you off the list here. John Oliver, another foreigner over here telling us how we should run our country. Seth Meyers from Saturday Night Live. Ronald Reagan Jr., believe it or not, who is a bleeding blue Democrat, liberal, whatever. Megyn Kelly, everybody's favorite Fox anchor, Megyn Kelly. Bill Maher, when he had Ann Coulter on his show. Barack Obama himself. Jeb Bush, George W. Bush. Nate Silver, the guy that at 538 that everybody thinks is just so damn accurate all the time. Chuck Todd, Barack Obama again, and Steve Colbert. These are some of the names. There's some other ones in there, but I couldn't identify who they were because they're no names. They're just people that are out there. But these are the heavy players here. So I'm going to start by playing this clip for you. People responding to the idea or the concept or the belief that Donald Trump could actually win the presidency of the United States.
Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
Is that people think that Donald Trump is a clown.
Donald Trump is a clown. I mean, does anybody seriously think that Donald Trump is serious about running for president?
Donald Trump, he's a clown.
But likely moderator apparently believes that Donald Trump is a clown.
Which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones right now, Donald Trump.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point. At real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump. At least I will go down as a president.
So basically, this is the beginning of the end for Trump.
The beginning of the end.
Beginning of the end?
This is probably starting of the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Donald, you're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency.
The strongest person usually isn't the loudest one in the room.
So right now we have Hillary's about a 75 or an 80% favorite. We have different versions of the forecast you can look at.
The poll has Hillary Clinton up by double digits nationally, 12 points, 50-38, a four-way race.
Clinton leading in Florida, Clinton leading in North Carolina, Clinton leading in Ohio, Clinton leading in Nevada. I could go on and on and on.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
And so, right now, Mr. Trump, to answer your call for political honesty, I just want to say, you're not going to be president, all right?
Keep you waiting, complicated business.
A lot of people have laughed at me over the years. Now they're not laughing so much, I'll tell you.
All right, there you had it. There was a long list here. I read them off to you there, but you'll notice that Barack Obama was in there twice. One doing one of those Letterman type of things where he says, yeah, I may go down in history as the worst president ever, but at least I'll go down in history as a president. You'll remember that one from Barack Obama. And again, assured that Donald Trump would not be president. Ann Coulter just being almost laughed off the stage when she was asked by Bill Maher who has the most likely chance of being elected president. And she said of the people that are declaring at that time, there wasn't the full 17 that we started out with. She said Donald Trump, and everybody, if you saw the show or if you've seen the clips, you know what I'm talking about there. Everybody was just flabbergasted and she almost got laughed off the stage, but she stood her ground, and she's got to be one of the happiest people because of it. Now, what I want to do now is I want to counter this. This is a clip of the people after the election. And we have on this list Brian Williams, Steve Colbert again, Lawrence O'Donnell, the talking potato head over at MSLSD, Trevor Noah from The Daily Show, the View idiots, the idiots that make up the View panel, particularly, what's her name? I don't remember what her name is. Joy Behar. There she is. Rachel Madcow, Chris Matthews, Andrea Mitchell, Van Jones, who is famous, I think will become one of our quotes of the year, the white lash of America against a black president. Martha Raddatz, Jonathan Alter, Gayle King from CBS out here, and, of course, Ann Coulter. So listen to this clip. This is after the election, and listen to how these people are now acting in contrast to them laughing and thinking that Donald Trump is a joke.
This is the time for real wisdom. Lightning round.
If Trump wins, how about bursting into tears and screaming fuck for the next 45 minutes?
Well, America is crying tonight. I'm not sure how much of America, but a very, very significant portion, and I mean literally crying.
Everybody is crying and so upset, and it is the end of their world.
Feels like the end of the world.
We were on Lifetime last night, and I was slowly getting drunk is what happened to me.
How do we explain how this is possible?
How did this happen? Experienced politician versus racist fake gynecologist.
Get your abortions now, because we're going to be fucked, and we're going to have to live with it.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country.
This is a different Earth today than it was 24 hours ago. It's a different place. Because it just is different.
The woman who President Obama called the most qualified person ever to run for the White House couldn't break through. The question remains, who can?
Deeper concerns tonight that the world's shining light of democracy has gone dark.
Decency lost last night, and that's what's so hurtful about this.
This was a white lash. This was a white lash against a changing country. It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes.
I kind of push back against the advancement of African Americans, of Hispanics, of women, of Muslim Americans.
It is a mourning moment for those people, and it is a moment filled with fear.
Because I'm on this network and people know my attitudes about things. They come up to me and they're scared, depressed, despair, desperate even. Almost clinging to me.
It was a rough night for everybody, I think. We're worried. The people are worried. Okay, he's the president. Now what?
It feels like we're trying to avoid the apocalypse, and half of the country is voting for the asteroid.
Is there a doomsday plan for a time like this? Am I right to ask about a doomsday plan? Do you see this as a doomsday scenario?
So if Donald Trump is democratically elected and your son is serving as a Marine, you wouldn't trust his life under that commander-in-chief? And Kane said, I wouldn't. That's a pretty extraordinary thing to say. If you have a son in the Marine Corps and that you don't trust the commander-in-chief. The people in the military defend the Constitution.
I can't put a happy face on that. And that's my job.
This is the first time throughout this entire race where I'm officially shitting my pants.
I genuinely do not understand how America can be this disorganized or this hateful.
How do you govern when your whole campaign was built on the hatred of somebody else?
From slavery to, Nazism, we have faced challenges before to who we are as a people.
Plus the Supreme Court, who knows where that's going to go. So the only checks and balances we have are us, the View.
How are you supposed to be able to handle a country if you can't handle a pussy? It's not hard. You learn it in like middle school.
She had the best ad campaign, the best ground game. This is a shot against meritocracy, I think, because she merited everything. The normal way you standardize these things, she did what she's supposed to do to win.
She was Hillary Clinton, the most qualified candidate, the best suited for the job, the best temperament. Now we're hearing not a good candidate.
History is put on hold yet again.
We have no idea who won. And to cover our bases, we taped 2 different show opens. First up, here's the outcome I'm hoping for. Hillary Clinton is the next president of the United States. But just in case the unthinkable has happened and Donald Trump is our new president, the show open would look something like this.
Oh, hello.
There you have it. There you have it. The meltdown of the liberal media and all the other people attached to it. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews. Joe Hakels is off today, enjoying a well-deserved vacation out there with his family out in the Midwest. So we're flying solo today, but we will have Don Dix from Act for America coming up on our second hour here. So it won't just be all me. But anyway, you heard, if you were listening just before our break here, you heard the clips that we played. A lot of the people just thought Donald Trump running for president was a joke. And then the massive meltdown by the media and the pundits. And, they're still out there trying to figure out what happened. They still can't believe that Hillary Clinton didn't walk away with this thing. And, instead of, we kind of figured it out. There was I have to be honest and say, there was a long length of time, a long period of time where I really kind of thought, you know what, I'm not so sure that Trump's going to be able to pull this off. There was a moment in time where I really thought, yeah, I think everything that everybody's talking about is true, and it's going to happen, and Trump's going to get thumped, and we're going to have to deal with all that. We're going to have to deal with all the fallout of that. But about 2 months out from the election, we began to see something here. Joe caught it first, and I began to look at it, and I began to mirror his thoughts and beliefs. That we were just looking at we just kind of cast the polls aside and said, listen, what's going on out there in the public? And we saw massive Trump rallies. The left tried to play it off as just curiosity seekers, people wanting to go to the freak show and the circus. But I'll tell you what, in this kind of thing, people aren't lining up for hours to get in. We were seeing rallies with 10, 15, 20, even 30,000 people had to be conducted in hangar decks. If you've never been inside of a hangar, they're huge, okay? Some of them as big as stadiums. And you're putting people inside there. You've got people on the outside that can't get in, and you've got people in the line of traffic outside of the rallies trying to get into the parking lot. And we were just seeing the numbers, and you looked at the Hillary Clinton rallies, and they were doing everything they could. They lined the people up behind her, do the close-up, so it looks like there's a bunch of people, masking off the gym of 1,000 because only 300 showed up and stuff like that. And we just thought, no, all the indicators are that we began to call them the silent T's, people that just, I don't know, for whatever reason, either were not surveyed in the polls, or if they were surveyed, just didn't want to hassle with anybody trying to explain to them why they were voting for Donald Trump. So, but he won, and he won handily. And so that has led us to this issue now, and it's, again, just the irony of the left. The irony of the left that as we sit here, and we had to subject ourselves to the pre-election blitz by the media, that Donald Trump was not an American. He was not the candidate. He was unpatriotic. He was going to upset the whole democracy, as they put it, rather than republic, but democracy. For what reason? Because he might not accept the election results come the election night. And Trump, all he said was, he didn't say he wouldn't. He said, we'll see. Because everybody knows, and he knew, and we all know, anybody that wants to be honest, that voter fraud is the real deal. We shared with you things that were going on just before the election. The most notably, the Broward County, Sheila, what's her face down there? They had the election supervisor down there in Florida. And it was reported that she had met with Hillary Clinton against the law prior to the election. There was a signed affidavit. We talked, I think the girl's name was Chelsea, that she had been a worker down there delivering absentee ballots, and that she saw in the room that they were actually creating absentee and mail-in ballots in a room, by the thousands. So we knew that there was something out there, and that's what Donald Trump knew. He knew something was going on. The superdelegates, that in and of itself is cause for pause, if we can put it that way. The idea that, as Debbie Wasserman Schultz explained to us, the superdelegates were to assure that no grassroots candidate would ever make it to the nomination. It was for the purpose of making sure that if the people decided to go with Uncle Bernie, in this case, that they were going to be able to override that by having elected officials or selected individuals that served in some type of Democrat operative capacity, and that these people would ensure that no matter what the public wanted, they were going to get the nominee that they wanted, which at this time around was Hillary Clinton. And so now what are we hearing? Now we're hearing that the will of the people is being circumvented and undermined because Hillary Clinton allegedly has 2.5 to 3 million votes more than Donald Trump, but because they're in states where the Electoral College votes were pretty stacked against Trump and more in favor of Hillary Clinton, particularly California and New York, largely populated states, where you get almost a third of the Electoral College votes that you need just with those two states. And that was what everybody was banking on. Those states would come in, and then the rest of them would come in, and it'd be a whitewash. if we can use that term without offending Van Jones. But it didn't happen that way. And, maybe she did get more of the popular vote. Maybe she didn't. But if she got the popular vote, it was out of these populated states, California and New York. And that has now resurfaced. This isn't new. Some of you may think this is just a first-time thing for the Democrats, but they've been trying to eliminate the Electoral College ever since Al Gore lost in 2000 by 500 votes down in where else but Broward County, Florida. And ended up getting the Electoral College votes in 2000 and put George W. Bush in the White House. So they've been trying to do that for quite a while. See, because everything the left is centered on, and their whole agenda, their whole objectives, everything they look at and everything they do has one central purpose, and that is to, render our Constitution useless and impractical. We have the narratives out there about social issues being the thing that everybody's worried about in this country. And so we have to stack the Supreme Court to make sure that the Supreme Court, which has become the legislative branch of our government rather than the judicial, and rather than judging things on the merit of whether or not these issues are constitutional, the Supreme Court has started taking on hearings and issues that are not even addressed in the Constitution, and then determining from the bench whether these issues are constitutional. So if you understand how the Supreme Court is supposed to operate, it's supposed to be when there is a issue between state and federal government over some law or legislation as to whether or not that law or legislation is constitutional. But the Constitution places very heavily against the government interfering in the business of the states. And so if a state like California passes Proposition 8, which says that marriage is between a man and a woman, the Supreme Court steps in and says, well, they didn't hear that case, but it was taken and went all the way up to the Supreme Court because the argument is that the state didn't have the right to put such a law on the books. Okay, well, that in and of itself is kind of a good example of what should be taking place. But when you have people just saying, well, I'm going to sue because I'm a same-sex, my partner's same-sex, and I'm going to sue because I'm not getting benefits. And so, therefore, the Supreme Court is going to have to decide whether same-sex marriage is constitutional or not. There's nothing in the Constitution that identifies what marriage is. But and so what happens, the Supreme Court rules on an issue rather than a law. And then everybody uses that issue, the ruling on the issue, as the preface or the foundation of law. There still are no books. There's still no laws on the books that says same-sex marriage is the same as heterosexual marriage. It's just that an issue was ruled on by the court, and an issue that they had no jurisdiction on to begin with. But they decided they were going to do it because these are people that believe that the Constitution is a living document and it changes with the times. Whereas our framers, in many of their writings, made sure to amplify and make us aware of the fact that the Constitution was supposed to be pretty much in stone, and that the things that were not designated to the federal government belonged to the states. And that was the way it was set up. That's the way it's supposed to be operating. In fact, just to give you an idea how we're going to discuss that over this week, tomorrow we're going to have as our guest Donald Blockett. I'm sorry, let me get his name here right. I just met this gentleman a couple weeks ago. Donald C. Brockett. A prosecutor for 33 years, wrote a book, The Tyrannical Rule of the U.S. Supreme Court. And he's going to be on the show tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that, how the Supreme Court has basically overreached their power, in addition to a president that tries to govern through executive orders, as is the case with Barack Obama, and then line that up in contrast with a Congress that doesn't want to do anything for fear of losing their positions in Congress. So we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. But anyway, back to the topic here, the Electoral College. So I'm going to spend some time here. We got to go to a break here, but I'm going to spend some time explaining some things from you. And we're going to take straight from Federalist number 68, which is what the left is using to quote, and as everything else, like the Constitution, reinterpreting to fit their narrative that Donald Trump is not qualified to be president. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who's off today. Maybe off for a little while. I told him to take his time. He's out visiting family. Just, take whatever time he needs. He deserves it. He covers for me so often, and he puts up with my issues here. Sometimes we have tech issues. We don't get on the air. He hurries home from work and loads up, and all of a sudden we got something going on. I mean, there's been a lot of things. He puts up with a lot of my crap. So, Joe, just enjoy your vacation. Have a good time. We'll get you when you get back. Okay. All right. Back to see, where am I at here? I want to cue back in here. Okay. We're talking about the Electoral College and how the left is out there just making so much noise about it. We had the people out there protesting that Hillary Clinton won the election because she won the popular vote. And then we have the other people, kind of like, I call them like the Occupy Wall Street Phase 2, out there demonstrating, and Trump's not my president. And I give them that. People would talk to me about Barack Obama and say, no, he's not my president. I didn't vote for him. Well, he's the president of the United States. We're all Americans. Yeah, well, yeah, that's how you guys look at things when you win. But when you lose, it's a whole different story. And this election showed that. As we said, Hillary Clinton out there at the debate, I think it was the third debate, the third debate, Chris Wallace asking Donald Trump, will you accept the results? And he said, we'll see. Oh, it's horrifying, she said. It's horrifying. And I got propaganda from her campaign for a week about how horrifying it was that Donald Trump wouldn't accept the election results, that he would undermine our democracy and all that we stand for as Americans, and the tradition and the peaceful transition of power and all those things. I listened to that crap for a week. And we had even Republican operatives and the establishment people joining in, as they did all throughout this campaign, siding with Hillary and Obama and the rest of those cronies. All right? But now that the election is over, now we got this recount going on. Jill Stein out there trying to determine whether she got more than 1% of the vote. I don't think so. I think Jill Stein was put out there. Let me give you some facts here. Jill Stein, over the course of her election campaign, now I'm not sure exactly when she came into the fold. I don't know if she was actually out there like most of the candidates, a year and a half ahead, or whether it was midstream or whatever. But during the entire campaign of Jill Stein out of the Green Party, she raised about $3.5 million to run her campaign. Okay, $3.5 million over a period of whatever time she was in. And I know it had to be more than just a month or a couple of months. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know exactly when she entered the race. But she had to file the same time everybody else did. So I'm just going to say within the year and a half that she filed to run for office until the time that the elections were over, she raised about $3.5 million. So now she comes out after the election and she says, I want recounts in 3 of the states. And she says, we have no proof of voter fraud. We have no proof of irregularities, but yet this has been a hacked election. See, if you want to talk about talking like a liberal, you say contradictory statements in the same breath. We have no proof that there's voter fraud, but because the accusations that were out there about the Russians hacking the DNC server, about all the narrative that was being carried around out there by the media, that we had a problem with we might have a problem with the election system. We had Jay Johnson at Homeland Security telling us, oh, no, we don't have to worry about the election itself, but we do have to worry about what's going on with the Russians, and then trying to tie Donald Trump in with the Russians, and then trying to present the narrative to us. There was the Russians and Donald Trump that circumvented the whole election. You know, they just go from one extreme to the other. And then they just throw all this crap together into one little cesspool, stir it up, and throw it up against the wall, see what sticks. And so we're sitting here looking at this thing, and, it was just horrifying. Donald Trump was going to upset the whole democratic process, and nobody's ever been like this. Nobody's ever not accepted the results. Of course, completely forgetting about Al Gore in the 2000 election, where it took 30 days to get him to finally concede the election. But anyway, so she raises somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 million in the course of, I think it was $3 million within 2 days, and $5 million over the course of the last couple of weeks, as these these recounts have been put before these states. I think it's Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and I'm thinking Michigan. I probably will look it up here when we get to our articles later on, either today or during sometime during the week. I'm paraphrasing right now for time, because I want to get to the central idea here, what this recount is really about. Jill Stein was picked as the point person, the person who really has nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I believe that most of the money came from Clinton donors or from the Clinton campaign itself. Now, we probably will never know that, or we won't know it until after all the fervor has died down. But the point is, she was able to raise $5 million within a couple of weeks, when she couldn't raise that kind of money a year and a half into the election campaign. No, she was picked. She was picked. She figured she got nothing to lose. And if you read the fundraising blurb on her website, she tells you that the money, if it isn't spent towards the recount, meaning you could be sending her money and it may not be used for the recount, but if it isn't used, don't worry about it, because the Green Party is going to use it to put out, to make an attempt to get some reform in the election system. All right? Now, let's remember here, the left is out there telling us there is no such thing as voter fraud. I mean, every time we mention on this show, or anytime anybody talks about voter fraud, whether mainstream media or in a show like ours, the left is just out there, oh, there's no such thing. The process and the system is pure. It's integral. We don't have to worry about voter fraud. Okay, so there's one or two people, have done something wrong, that kind of thing. But this is just another vast right-wing conspiracy to disenfranchise and to alienate and to suppress voters, as particularly black voters. That's the narrative. But all this stuff comes down the pipe here, and now all of a sudden there is voter fraud. Although there isn't. See, they tell us, no, we don't have any evidence of voter fraud. We just want to make sure the process is pure. Well, that's what we've been saying on the right. That's what we've been saying. That's why we want voter ID, to make sure that the process is pure. That's why we want to do away with mail-in ballots and online voting and all those things, because those things can be manipulated. Mail-in ballots can be changed, as we found out from Broward County. Online registrations can be hacked. But when you talk about hacked elections and you talk about improper voting, once the ballot is cast and registered, there's no internet. There's no way for anybody to hack into that. So anyway, we got to go to break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We got a lot more for you.
Is America being plagued by slobs or liars? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, as an American, I am embarrassed by the millennial generation display of utter disdain for America, the rule of law, and common decency. However, the real blame for the young adult crybabies on college campi throughout our republic and the nighttime streetwalkers who seek to kill the American dream, steal our national joy, and destroy private property lies with the hippy-dippy era parents who raised them, along with the legions of government school educators who did their best to indoctrinate students against authentic American history, real science, Judeo-Christian ethics, and even the traditional family. It is comical to witness individuals who claim great fear over the possibility of Trump harming Muslims, immigrants, LGBTQ people, and minorities. First of all, Trump consistently called out illegal immigrants, Muslim terrorists, LGBTQ activists, and other progressive groups who were not genuinely seeking equal participation in America, but are working to overcome our laws and ultimately destroy our way of life. And that's the truth of the matter. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now.
This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Okay, hey, we're back. Hour two right here at the Conservative Syndicate, and we're glad you took the time to join us today. Hey, we're going to be coming up here in just a few moments here. Don Dix from Act for America will be joining us for his segment. I haven't had anybody on the show here, for almost 2 weeks now. We took last week off because of the holidays. And it's going to be good, I guess, to hear the voices of our contributors here once again. We're going to be, like I said, Don will be with us in just a few moments here. This is our short segment. We come in the second hour, just do a short segment here. We got to run our advertisements, pay for that our sponsors pay for, and then we'll get Don on here, and we're going to continue this discussion on the Electoral College. But I want to close out this one part of it here, talking about Jill Stein's recount effort and what this is really about. This is a way of reinforcing the argument or the narrative that the left is trying to put out there right now, that Hillary Clinton should have been elected and all subsequent elections should start coming down to the popular vote. Now, why would they want the popular vote? Why would they want to, they're talking about, the left is always talking about the integrity of the voting system and tradition and everything else. Why does Electoral College need to be eliminated? Well, because the Electoral College and the purpose and the reason it was designed was never better demonstrated than this in an election. And that is that we had most of the popular vote coming out of states like California and New York. And that would mean that if we went by the popular vote and Hillary Clinton had won the election, that the majority of the country in terms of states would have been subjected to, by mandate here, to the leftist agenda. It was a preservation of Barack Obama's legacy to fundamentally transform the United States of America, and they could have done that without the consensus of a majority of the states. And that's what the Electoral College is. It was supposed to represent the number of states adequately and equally, so that we wouldn't have one or two states determining what was going to be the direction of the country. But to see that because the left employs voter fraud, the idea that if we can get rid of the Electoral College, which would be a check and balance against that, as we saw here, and the way it went down and the way it came about, then the only other thing they can do is circumvent. And so all they have to do is just get a control of a few of the big states. And in getting a hold of the big states, then all they would have had to do after that is to simply just, focus on the swing states. And so they could have done it, the whole idea of putting the recount out there at this point in time is just to support the narrative that it should be popular vote over Electoral College because the popular vote is easier to manipulate. You can't manipulate the Electoral College. So, as I've said before, when these Democrats start out an election, the way it's set up right now, they have almost a third of the Electoral College that they need just between California and New York. Throw in a couple other states like Maine, some of them, those weird states up north, the syrup makers up there, Howard Dean's turf and all that. And you've got enough here that you would need very few states in order to win the election. And so this whole idea, that's what this recount's about. It's about supporting the narrative that we do away, another aspect of the Constitution that we need to do away with so that we can get more into a democracy rather than a republic. And that we can eliminate the checks and balances so that we can have a Supreme Court that legislates and an executive branch that governs by decree rather than by legislation. And the Congress, they're okay with it right now. They just sit up there and collect their salary and train for their lobbyist positions when they get too old, and they just leave. And they just go out and they make tons of money just consulting other lobbyists on how to continue to get what you want, that kind of stuff. So that's what this whole thing is about, the Electoral College. It is just another attempt by the left to advance that agenda that one other aspect of our Constitution is null and void and irrelevant and needs to be changed or done away with, because after all, it's not representing the will of the people. Once I said, there's nothing better that represents the necessity of the Electoral College than this election. And I'm glad to see that we saw it in work, we saw how it works, we saw what it does, and we're going to talk about it in depth here when we get back here. We'll have Don Dix with us from Act for America, so stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by CitizensUnited.org.
You'll get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, we're back. And you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who, like I said, is on vacation. Well-deserved vacation out, spending time with his family. But we have with us Don Dix from Act for America doing his weekly segment with us. How are you doing tonight, Don?
I'm doing well, John. Happy couple of days after Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, same here. It was a pretty good one for us. I had family, but not so many people from the family that it becomes overwhelming. So it was a good balance. How about you?
Had a couple of days to just unplug from the torrent of information that we're being fed right now as the Trump administration enters this transition period, picking the leaders for the cabinet and whatever else ends up being, as well as just the other stuff of the daily news flow. We had a little terrorist event on Monday up at Ohio State University. It never stops, John. It never stops.
Yeah, I have to be. I'm a little bit jaded about this incident that took place out in Ohio State, I would be less than honest if I didn't say, so what? And let me just explain that. I kind of like it's falling. It's not that the incident itself is not noteworthy. It's the immediate narrative and everything that follows as soon as, they didn't even know what happened and they were already out there floating gun control. Come to find out the guy was using a machete or something. And I'm like, this, and so I hear that kind of stuff and I just have a tendency to shut it off and go, okay, all we're going to do now is we're going to hear a discussion about things that don't exist and are irrelevant to what's really the bigger problem. And that is that we have a major security problem in this country created by the president that's on his way out and leaving a mess, I think, is worse than any economic mess that Barack Obama can claim George W. Bush left him. We have a national security mess. I'm not sure how they're going to figure this out.
Well, it's going to take a while to unwind it because you're right. His open door policies, whether we're talking about refugees or immigration, his policy of stripping our national security apparatus from any semblance of being able to focus on what really are the threats. Yeah, this is not going to be something that's going to be unwound in the first 100 days, although it'll be interesting to see what strides he makes. I can tell you that some of the people that he is pointing to right now do have a sincere understanding of it. Jeff Sessions is the Attorney General. He gets the threat. And I'm anxiously awaiting the announcements that they'll do things like, for instance, unlock the door on the thousands of pages, boxes and boxes of evidence that was produced during the Holy Land Foundation trial, the largest terrorist funding trial in the history of the United States from 2008, that the previous Attorney General, Eric Holder, locked up and refused to let anybody even from Congress go in and look at it. So, my hope is that slowly but surely over the next 4 years, this stuff gets unwound and put back in order. Yeah, I like to use the phrase "return America to its basic operating condition."
Yeah, I for one, I'm sticking to the substance of what I believed when I said I was going to support Trump, and that is first and foremost Supreme Court nominations that will solidify our court, and maybe, perhaps, God help us, if we get towards the end of his first term, that we have maybe another conservative person in there, and maybe we got a 7-2 split by the time 2020 gets here.
I'm hoping that. I think he's already moving, already showing that he's going to do something with the economy. I believe he's already said he's going to tear up the TPP, shred the Iran deal. So I think those are the two aspects that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at Trump to be a big supporter of abortion reform or same-sex marriage reform or anything like that. That's just my perspective on things. I don't think that's really of any major interest to him. But I'm hoping maybe perhaps that what in the bigger picture is that his election may start a little bit of a steamroll, that maybe now we can clean house in Congress a little bit. Maybe that fervor will roll over and people will just quit electing the likes of Mitch McConnell, who seems to think apparently that there really is no desire for the people to drain the swamp, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But in terms of his cabinet picks, let's stick on that because you brought it up here, and I think that's what I briefed you on anyways. I didn't want to throw you a curve here by talking about the Electoral College. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later. But anyway, the big noise that's being made out there right now, of course, is whether or not Trump actually goes through and chooses Mitt Romney for the Secretary of State post. Kellyanne Conway has come out on the media and talked about it, that she's not happy with it because she says that a lot of the grassroots, a lot of the people that elected Trump aren't happy with it. And I can't think of any... Now, the media is trying to play it that she's going rogue. She's pulling a Sarah Palin on Trump, and I'm not so sure that's the case. But anyway, my question to you is, why would Donald Trump take an establishment operative of the magnitude of Mitt Romney and put him in his inner circle?
Well, that's a fair question, and it's one that is probably a little. I mean, I can offer cursory thoughts on it. It's a little above my pay grade because I like you, was a little bit horrified at some of the things that Romney had said during the campaign. But when you look at the history of campaigns, there's a tremendous amount that gets said that ends up having to be walked back. If you look at the battle between Hillary Clinton and Obama, you had a similar dynamic playing out there where, Hillary Clinton, according to Obama, wasn't fit to polish his shoes, and yet he turns around and nominates her as Secretary of State, and she gets approved. We saw a little bit about what a disaster that was. I would never compare Hillary Clinton to, you got to admit, between Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State and Mitt Romney, who would you pick?
Well, I guess let's go that route, okay? Hillary Clinton, the argument is, my belief is, let me put it that way so I don't blame somebody else for this. My belief was she was given the Secretary of State position as payment for basically going along with the election of Donald Trump. Now, I remember hearing Joe Biden on a talk show someplace. I think it was Ellen DeGeneres. It was shortly after the elections when it was determined that Joe Biden was going to be the vice president. And it was after the elections, and they were talking about Joe Biden being selected as the vice president to run on the ticket with Obama. And in the course of that conversation, Joe Biden's wife made the comment that Barack Obama had given Joe Biden the choice between vice president and Secretary of State. And Joe hushed her. He's like, shh, you shouldn't have let that out of the bag kind of thing. And so Secretary of State was open because Joe Biden decided to be vice president, because we know a vice president doesn't do anything. All right. And, what better position to have for somebody like Joe Biden than to actually get paid to do nothing. But the situation being it was almost like I thought maybe Secretary of State was given to Hillary Clinton as either one, a payback, or a bridge that Barack Obama would need with establishment types. And I'm wondering if that's Trump's thinking with Romney. This will give me a bridge to the establishment. But I really think that's really dangerous thinking, considering the fact that Romney was one of his most vocal critics and does have a very strong influence with the establishment. Like I said, they don't. The establishment doesn't need a fly on the wall. They've got Mitt Romney now, and I think that is a very precarious situation that Romney's going to be able to feed back directly to the establishment what Donald Trump is thinking. That's my concern about it. And I don't know that Romney really has any foreign experience. I was thinking somebody like Newt Gingrich or John Bolton would be much better suited for that. What do you think?
Well, I would agree with you. John Bolton would be my first go-to pick. He understands the damage that's been done by 8 years of an Obama foreign policy. He understands the threats of, Russia, Iran. He understands how the Middle East has melted down. He gets that we're in a civilization clash between Islam and Western civilization. That would be my first pick. And so I'm kind of not trying to second guess him. I'm being an interested spectator watching how this chess match, if you will, is being laid out. On the plus side of Romney, I mean, you make a couple of interesting and valid points. Who will Romney be loyal to? Will he be loyal to his president? Because keep in mind, the Department of State essentially is the office of the presidency as it relates to the relationships that we have with other countries. Mm-hmm. So it's an extension of the presidency. So, I get the dance that if Trump is leaning towards Romney, I get the dance that they're engaged in right now. That, Trump's challenge is to figure out, can Romney be loyal to him? Can Romney adequately represent his worldview as it relates to our foreign policy? Will Romney execute well? I agree. Maybe he doesn't have the foreign chops that, Ambassador Bolton has, based on the fact that he has spent so much time there. Whenever Bolton goes somewhere to speak, it's always about, foreign policy. It would, in reverse, John Bolton has no place, I don't think, domestically, because those aren't his chops. I would much rather see John Bolton. That doesn't mean that John Bolton can't have a role at some point in time in the process. But, Romney is a good negotiator. He's got good business sense. And from a business perspective, Trump is a businessman. Mm-hmm. A big part of his worldview is, how do you reestablish America's presence around the world as a center of commerce, trade deals, things like that. I think, Romney probably has a good understanding of business from his time at Bain Capital, from his time, working at, how do companies structure themselves to operate internationally. I know that, bringing back these trillions of dollars onshore is a big, goal of his. So, from the business platform, I don't think John Bolton has really that much of an understanding of how that business interplay works. I think Romney is probably better suited for that. But there is a calculated risk there. They've got a huge hatchet that they've got to bury. They've got, that history that needs to be resolved. And part of this, re-inviting Romney back into the fold, to have another dinner with him, to have more of a conversation, to see if they can play nice, I think is all part of that. I do revel in the intrigue, of course, of, like you said, sending out Kellyanne Conway, not sending her out, but she represents that she got permission to go out and, speak, sort of out of both sides of their mouths, if you will. But maybe that was just part of the, the trial ballooning, seeing how people would respond to that.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating time to be alive and to be watching all this unfold, particularly much more closely as we're doing now than I ever have.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on that we're never going to know, unfortunately. So, we can take the evidence like, Romney's speech, his failure as being president, lobbying for that position in 2012. I don't like the way he failed at that. And that's creates a little bit of a concern. Is he, going to be a strong negotiator? Certainly, though, I think Romney is a better potential representative of our country on foreign lands than either Clinton or, John Kerry. I don't think there's any risk of Mitt Romney showing up with James Taylor to sing a song to try and heal the wounds.
Yeah. I get the point about Romney, being brought into the fold because of his business experience. But I would think personally, from my perspective, I would put him in charge of the VA. Okay, we talk about VA reform. Romney has reorganized major corporations, and I'm like, that would be a great place for him. I just can't, or Secretary of Commerce or something like that. But to put him in a position,
Good points.
I'm sorry?
No, I said both of those are great points, great possible places for Romney in a Trump administration. I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, we got to go to a quick break here. Well, not a quick break. This is our break time, and we'll be right back. We've got Donald Dix from Act for America with us. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, safety, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474, 866-657-8474.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who's off today on vacation, and I told him to take his time. I have no idea when he'll be back. We'll just let him enjoy his time with his family out there in the Midwest. Left the Panhandle, flew up to the Midwest somewhere, so we're going to let him enjoy himself. All right, we have Don Dix with us, though, Act for America. I want to close out this conversation we're having here about Trump's choices for Secretary of State. David Petraeus is another name that's being floated. And I can't think... I don't know if it's worse than Romney. And the reason I say that is, here's a man who pled guilty to charges of compromising classified information. And with all the fervor, with everything that's going on with Hillary Clinton, and is still going on with Hillary Clinton, and from what I understand may continue to go on with Hillary Clinton if some of the Republicans have their way, why would you choose somebody like David Petraeus and then turn around and be part of a narrative that says we ought to hang Hillary Clinton?
Right. Well, in order for David Petraeus, as I understand it, to hold any cabinet position, he's going to have to get a pardon from Donald Trump in order to be able to consider that David Petraeus for a position, is what I've read. So I'm not sure if that is a wise choice. Also, just on the face of it, having a military, perspective in Secretary of State, I think internationally sends the very wrong message. It kind of bolsters, the idea that, America is has military ambitions globally versus, how do we actually get along? And I understand your concerns about Romney. There are a lot of people that are saying that he'd be a terrible choice, that he totally conflicts with Trump's policy views that he enumerated during his long campaign. He's a guy that does have an interventionist edge to his foreign policy ideas. So, I understand that possibly also, not only to Trump supporters, but to the rest of the world, could send the wrong signal as well. And I'm sure John Bolton's regarded as a hardliner, a neocon by some in some camps as well. So, it doesn't seem like there are any great choice. I mean, great. Believe me, I think Bolton would be a great choice. I'm trying to think outside the box, though, as to how that's perceived by the rest of the world in terms of, negotiating foreign policy as a Secretary of State is going to have to do.
Well, I think, for me, that's why I would kind of lean towards Gingrich. We know that he would be slammed, but I don't think there is a brighter man when it comes to dealing in politics than Newt Gingrich, even with all his baggage. And, we've already, everything against Newt Gingrich right now would be old news. We could play the narrative, the left narrative. That's old news. But here's a man that understands and knows how to articulate, policies and ideologies and everything else. One of the best around, I suppose. And so I would kind of lean towards him. Bolton, for the same reason you state. Here's a man that has been in that theater, has functioned in it, knows it probably inside and out, probably better than anybody else. So those would be one of my two choices. But Romney and Petraeus are probably, and I like Rudy too, but I don't think the next mayor of New York is what we're looking for.
No, I don't either. And I think, quite honestly, regarding Newt Gingrich, since you brought his name up, I would rather see Donald Trump not pigeonhole Newt Gingrich, but keep him close as an advisor of all things, a sounding board, because I think Newt Gingrich brings an experience, a perspective, a historical perspective, because, we know that Newt is a big fan of America. He's a big fan of our history. He understands, and I share his worldview about our founding, about the specialness of America. I'd much rather see Donald Trump not pigeonhole Newt, but keep him close as an advisor.
Yeah.
I think that's a better place for him. Somebody who Donald Trump can trot out to be a spokesperson on his behalf on Sunday news shows. I see Newt as being more of that utility player than somebody that you want to stick in a particular box and isolate into a particular role.
Yeah, well, for me, Gingrich would have been my pick for chief of staff. That I would have won, that would have been my pick, because here, I don't think there's anybody that understands the system better than him. I think there's a lot of people that pretend that they do, but Gingrich has a way of cutting to the chase and seeing through all the garbage and saying, no, this is actually what's being said. Now, along that line, this is a lesser post, but I think one in some ways is more important, or at least as important, because this is going to be the public face of Donald Trump, and that would be press secretary. The word I have out there is that Laura Ingraham has been asked to fill that post, but I can't think of anybody better than Kellyanne Conway. Every time I see this woman and listen to her, I don't care what the media throws at her. She just puts it right back in him. And she has this ability to just kind of say, I hear what you're saying, but that's not really what's going on. This is really what's going on. And she just, I don't care who she's talking to. I watched her over the weekend talking to, I believe it was Andrea Mitchell. And she just cuffed her. She just Mitchell's digging for that stuff. And she's just not giving her what she wants and just staying on message, coming back right at her. And I thought, Kelly, what better person to be out there in front of the media every day and just slap them back every time they throw their crap out there? Because the way I see it right now is that the media, we're going to know every day, every moment that Donald Trump passes gas. And the media is going to tell us why he passed gas and what he should be eating to avoid passing gas. Because they're really not going to get into the substance of anything. I watched Martha Raddatz with Conway over the weekend, and all she was concerned about is, why is Donald Trump using Twitter? I'm like, well, who the hell cares how he communicates? Not what he was communicating, but the fact that he was using Twitter to communicate it. And I'm thinking, is this the best you can do? If we're going to be talking about issues and everything else, who cares if Donald Trump goes out on his 145 character rants every night? I tell people, well, we'll encourage Donald Trump to give up Twitter when Barack Obama gives up YouTube. How about that? So
right. Well, Kellyanne is. There's no doubt about it. She's talented. She and Steve Bannon, are the people who ultimately are responsible for engineering, if you will, Donald Trump's campaign post convention, and they did a masterful job. They read the tea leaves right. completely off topic, another person that was really instrumental in engineering Donald Trump's success was the person that he put in charge of his the digital operation, somebody that Donald Trump got to know who was a consultant to one of many Trump organizations. And this guy ramped up his operation out of Texas. And this, I think, goes to a long way to talk about why Trump, one of his talents is identifying the right people for the right posts and seeing beyond their current position as to what they could do. He picked his security guy the same way, saw the way he ejected somebody from a tennis match, and, went over, interviewed him for 4 minutes, hired him, and that guy now heads up Donald Trump's security. So Donald, Trump's ability to pick people, which is part of the reason why I think Apprentice was so popular. He was able to, and a good leader, a guy that's going to grow a business has to be able to assess human talent and for its, the right things and the wrong things. As it relates to this press secretary position, I honestly don't think he could go wrong either way. But I think that from a tactical standpoint, Kellyanne Conway's ability to read the tea leaves and be a strategist, again, I think would pigeonhole her talent. Laura Ingraham, I think, could be an excellent press person. She has a way of being able to tamp down opposition. I've watched her deal with a hostile press as well. I don't think he could make a wrong decision between the two. I just think there's a better place ultimately for Kellyanne Conway and his administration than putting her in that role. Laura Ingraham is gracious. She is firm. She has, oral skills. We saw her take the national stage at the Republican National Convention. She's been a guest on Fox a lot lately. I think to showcase some of that. I don't think he'd go wrong either way. I just think that there's a better ultimate place for Kellyanne Conway than press secretary. Kind of the same conversation we had about Newt Gingrich. These are the people that Donald Trump needs to keep close to him, surround himself with, to continue to bounce things off of, guide him, tamp him down, manage him, if you will. People that he trusts. My preference would be to put Laura Ingraham in as press secretary and save Kellyanne Conway for that inner circle.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. I just really, out of the two, I'm just really more impressed personally how quick Kellyanne Conway is on her feet. She's just remarkable that way. We got to go to our quick break here. We'll be right back. I want to get to the topic of Cuba. Fidel Castro chose to leave this world right after the election, and I'm really kind of curious what you think about what's going to happen with our quote-unquote relationships with Cuba. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them the potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. We do want to encourage you to visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. And if you were listening to the show last week, perhaps you caught on to what we were doing. We played an entire series last week of great debates and speeches of days gone by, and those are all posted on our site, theconservativesyndicate.net. Hit the archive button, and you'll see they're there. We had some great speakers, Mark Levin, Ronald Reagan, the debate between William Buckley Jr. and Sal Alinsky. Who else? Barry Goldwater, his acceptance speech in '64. And I believe, let's see, what else do we have out there? Well, those are the ones I call off the top of my head. Anyway, they're all there. The ConservativeSyndicate.net. We've got Don Dix from Act for America with us. Has his own show out here in the Inland Valley out here in California. AM 590, The Answer. And again, what time does your shows air, Don?
Well, it airs between 6 and 7 in the evening, and then it's repeated between 5 and 6 a.m. in the morning, the following morning. And it's on AM 590, The Answer, which is part of the Salem network that syndicates Hugh Hewitt, Dennis Prager, Larry Elder, and I couldn't be more privileged to be a part of that family.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great honor. And, between all those people and us, we're millionaires, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I always tell people between me and Limbaugh, we make $30 million a year. So, anyway, the situation with Cuba, this is kind of a weird thing because I know what Barack Obama was trying to do when he renewed relationships with Cuba, but I think this may be one of those situations. I'm not really sure how Trump is going to try to do this. Is he going to roll back, the embargoes go back in place, or is he going to try to, quote unquote, renegotiate and make some kind of deal with Cuba? What do you think?
Well, I think you definitely go to the bargaining table again. Barack Obama's traditional, his administration at least, and probably including him, their traditional negotiation did not involve, walking away from the negotiating table as one of the tactics. It was what we said when he did the Iranian deal. They just kept, no matter what Iran said, they never walked away. And that's one of the strengths that you've got to have when you're negotiating is you got to know you hold all the cards and you're willing to walk away. And that puts the person you're negotiating with in the position where they have to give in more. And, especially when you're dealing with an Islamic republic like Iran, they only know one way, and that is they only respect strength. So I got to believe in a communist regime, there's a similar mentality. They only respect strength. So I think it's appropriate to go back in and go back to the bargaining table. I think there was a piece of President Obama that said, we can't continue to hold the Cuban people hostage because they've got this, communist regime. On the other hand, that's no way to negotiate. So with the death of Fidel Castro, it does open up the door for that. But I'll tell you the other thing about the death of Fidel Castro. You couldn't see a more stark difference between the conservative worldview and the progressive worldview. Fidel Castro essentially conducted a 50-year war against human nature. He incarcerated, more people than other leaders in today's world. He condoned and encouraged torture. He forced 20% of his people into exile. He claimed all property for himself and his henchmen. He's estimated to have a net worth in excess of $1 billion. Compare that to the average, Cuban. You couldn't draw a more stark difference between, Western civilization and in a culture or a form of government. But what's interesting is, as you're seeing this outpouring of response to, who Fidel Castro was, his policies were an anathema to the left. Everything that guy did is exactly the opposite of what the left advocates for, which is why it's so surprising to see them literally celebrating the life of Fidel Castro versus the death of Fidel Castro. It's shocking to me to see how these people are groveling at the gravesite of a guy, calling him, literally celebrating his life in a way that you never should regarding a guy that has done what he has done. A great way to mess with a progressive is, do you worry that Trump might become another Fidel Castro? If they're willing to extol the virtues of Fidel Castro, like Dr. Jill Stein, right, the lady that's driving this recount, she tweeted out on November 26th, Fidel Castro was a symbol of the struggle for justice in the shadow of empire. Yeah, well, that may have been the way he started out, but the last, 55 years of his rule, it didn't show through in anything that guy did.
Yeah, well, that leads me to actually two questions. One, why would Barack Obama even want to have relationships with Cuba? And my quick answer would be, of course, because he failed so miserably in the Middle East. He's trying to make it look like he can do something with some of these dictatorships out there, and maybe Cuba was almost like a last resort kind of thing. But I'm kind of on the other side. You go to the table to renegotiate with this guy or with the country. No, he's not there, but you go with Raul, and you sit down and negotiate. What does Cuba have to offer us outside of cigars?
Well, what they have to offer us is an opportunity for American businesses to gain a foothold in Cuba and, help them into the 21st century, if you will. But to your point,
let me interrupt you though, Don. Why would anybody want to put a business in a place where nobody's got money to spend?
Well, that would be a part of bringing them into the 21st century, and that's part of that renegotiation. If you got the average monthly salary of Cubans is $20 or whatever the number is, yeah, you're right. They're not going to have much money to spend, but by bringing them into the 21st century and modernizing Cuba, that's going to create jobs. It's going to create, opportunity for advancement. Part of that negotiation has got to be, hey, start paying your people a wage. You got all these SEIU employees saying we got to have $15, and yet those same people that the left is advocating for, they don't have the same view. They would rather celebrate this brutal dictator. But ultimately, I think that it's a symbol of a failed foreign policy on the part of Barack Obama, in that he leads with appeasement. It's like, as long as I show you that I'm being a good guy, I expect you to be a good guy. That is not the way you negotiate with these people. They don't. All they know is what they want and what's going to help them. You can't negotiate with appeasement being your sort of lead worldview. That's what he did with Iran. That's what I think he did with Cuba. And it's a failed way to negotiate with tyrants and ideologues.
Yeah, I personally don't see Cuba good for anything other than maybe a golf course. It's because from what I understand, this Raul is in some ways much worse than Fidel was. So I don't know that negotiating for anything is going to come to any good if you still have the same powers and they're hell bent on communism. And I don't know that they'd really let capitalism in there unless it's all nationalized And then, we're right back to where we started from. I just don't see anything productive from it other than the idea that, okay, we got a golf course 90 miles away from us or whatever. But anyway, we're out of time, Don. I wanted to give you a moment here to plug your show and everything that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Even with a Trump presidency, my biggest fear, John, is that people would take their foot off the gas if they've gotten politically involved. This is no time to do that. The Trump presidency represents a window for us to get involved. And, of course, the issue that I'm passionate about is national security relating to the threat of political and radical Islam. This is no time to stop educating people about that. So go out to our website, actforamerica.org. Learn more about that threat, learn more about our legislative priorities, including designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization, which is one of the things I hope that gets done in the first 100 days. Learn more, get involved with a local chapter that you can find on that website.
All right. Thank you so much, my friend. We're done for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, 3 o'clock out here on the left coast, 6 o'clock on the east coast. God bless you all. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.